In this session, we're going to explore array.map, which is a functional method run against any individual array instance. What array.map does that's different than what for each does, although they both run a callback on each element in the array. Array.map returns a new array based on the values that are in the original array. So essentially, you run a callback over each element in the array. As you return within your callback, a new array is built up from those return values. That full new array is returned back to the caller. Array.map returns an array of the same size as the original array every time, and it does not modify the original array, which makes it a functional method in JavaScript. It takes the form of this, for example, little simple example. Have an array called R. We'll say let new array equal array.map. And again, it takes a callback. And that callback receives two values, just like for each does, which would be the value and the index within the original array that element occurs. And it will return something new. Let's just, for now, we'll say return true. It doesn't matter what we say here. This will run this callback over every element of this array. Everything that gets returned gets pushed onto a new array, which becomes this value here. So as an example, we'll collapse this a little bit here and look at this numbers array and write a quick little map that will go over the numbers array and create a new array, which is the squares of all those numbers. So for example, we'll say let squares equal numbers.map. And we'll do it the old-fashioned way. Function that receives a value and an index, and we'll return value times value. And if we take a look at what comes back at the new array, console log squares, we expect this to be the squares of all the numbers in that array, which it is, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. So as you can see, we're operating in this case against the values in that original array, but there's no reason that you have to do that. You could return something completely new. I could return, for example, just return true like we did in the first example. If I do this, I'll get back an array where everything is true. If I return just the letter A, now I have an array of the same length as the original where every value is the letter A. So whatever I return here becomes a new element in a new array of the same length as the original array. So it lets you go over an array and either perform some action on the element. Maybe you're going to go out and fetch data based on that element or do some other calculation and always get back something new based on the original elements of the same length. Another example, let's go ahead and kill that console log there. And let's look at this other array that I got, array of people. And in this case, we've got an array of objects. What if we mapped over this and just got a nice list of the people's names in the array? So here, we'll do something like this. We'll say let names, and we'll do people map. And this time I'll do an arrow function just to show the different syntax. And we'll map, and we'll get a val and idx. And what we're going to return from this will be val.name. And let's break that down a little bit. The value, as we map over this array, is going to be the object, the element at that iteration of the array. I'm going to return val.name. So in the first case, we'll return John. Second case, Ali, or Kathy, Ali, Zach, and so on. So when I console log names, I expect to see just a simple array with everybody's names in it, as you see here. So array map can be used actually to change the shape of data as well. Know that you're going to get back an array of the same length. Know that you're going to get the value and the index if you need to use that as well in your calculation. And you can return any value that you need to, knowing that you're going to get back an array of that same length. So array.map, very powerful method. And just to, while I'm at it, prove this here, console.log people, you can see that as I've mapped over and got my original response, my people array hasn't changed. So we are a functional method here where you follow functional programming practices. Your methods should not alter data coming into them, and they should have no side effects outgoing. So in this case, we've created something brand new and left the original array completely intact. So that's array.map. It's a relative of for each. It's a relative of filter and reduce. But remember, the key takeaway here is that it returns an array of the same length as the original array following going through that callback.